every 20 minutes. It's your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your mid-morning Alabama forecast update. And got some Skywatcher pictures to look at this morning. This is actually from yesterday evening. This is from Heather Wilhite in Athens. Beautiful view there as the sun's starting to move down towards the horizon. Got some of the sun rays punching through those clouds there, but just a really beautiful view up there in the northern part of the state, and down more in the central part of the state from this morning. John Talbot and Huey Townsend, and a similar picture with the sun rising and the rays there shooting through those clouds there in that part of the state as well. So just some beautiful views as we start off this morning. And looking at our satellite and radar, pretty calm across the state for the most part. You can see that there's again a good bit of sunshine bathing the southern and southeastern part of the state, even the northwestern corner. Got a few clouds beginning to form in parts of the Birmingham metro and points to the west. You see there is a few showers trying to head towards the state line from Tennessee at this point. So could end up seeing a few scattered showers over the next hour or two in parts of maybe eastern Madison and Jackson County with that. But again, we're still expecting to mostly stay dry through today, like we have been a lot here recently. Looking at the SkyCam network, Huntsville, we're looking back towards those showers that are coming towards the state line. And so you can see some of the clouds there in the distance. The temperature is 75 degrees, the dew point's at 57. So as we've continued to do here recently, we're starting off with some fairly comfortable weather there with the relatively low humidity. Beautiful view from Cheaha here. It's 73 degrees there with really not a cloud in the sky. Looking off into the distance, and 58-degree dew point as well. So that's also still pretty nice for sure on the eastern part of the state. And Jefferson, beautiful view there. Just a few clouds in the sky, but otherwise just a nice look there from the southern part of the state. And as we move all the way down to the coast, the Gulf Shores, a beautiful view there. Again, as usual, it's 84 degrees right now, already into the 80s. But again, the dew point is not too bad. It's down around 63 degrees. So here's the story as in what we're watching for today and for this week. Showers remain fairly scarce. Again, there's going to be a few isolated showers, maybe a storm or two over the next couple of days. Probably will dry out a little bit more towards kind of Thursday, Friday, before we have a better chance of some showers starting to pop back up, especially in the northern part of the state into the weekend and next week. Highs will generally be in the upper 80s to low 90s across the state, and again, pleasant nights, relatively low humidity, so the nights will be relatively pleasant, especially the mornings will be still a little bit cool in spots. Looking at the temperatures that happened this morning, got down again into the 50s in many spots across the state. In the southeast, it got down to 57 degrees in both Troy and Eufaula, 58 degrees in Greenville, even 59 in Selma, and you got some 50s into the northeastern part of the state as well. And as has continued to be the trend here lately, the western side of the state has been a little bit warmer. It was only 69 degrees in Birmingham, 65 in Tuscaloosa, and then also upper 60s down towards the coast. Looking at our Skywatcher reports, a similar story there. Got Tony Bearden and Aroni, got 57 degrees. Justin Gentry and Jemison got down to 60. Jake Argo in North Calera and Brent Wyatt and Morris got down to 62 degrees. And then Bud Bean in Northport got down to 67 degrees. All right, as far as observed lows, though, taking a sampling of a couple of spots here across the state so far, since we're about halfway through September at this point, you can see more blue than you see orange. So that means that we've generally had below average temperatures. Now, the gray is our days where the lows were around average, but more blue than orange. So again, we've been more below average than above average as far as the lows have been so far this month. And definitely when you look at Montgomery, you see a lot of blue there. And Montgomery was the one that actually set that low temperature record early last week. So again, the mornings have been relatively cool here recently. Temperatures right now, we've gotten up into the 70s and 80s in most spots. 73 in Montgomery, 79 in Selma, 81 in Thomasville. It looks like Gadsden until at 68 degrees, so still fairly cool up there in the northeastern part of the state. It's 81 in Thomasville and in Chatham as well. Forecast highs for today, again, 80s and 90s, expecting to get around 89 degrees in Anniston, 91 in Birmingham and Montgomery, 88 in Troy, 90 in Monroeville. So again, upper 80s, low 90s, still the case. As far as the upper level pattern here, again, we've talked about, we've got this upper level low nearby here, and it's definitely kicking off some more active weather along the coast in the Carolinas, but not here quite as much. But we've got just enough of a little bit of that enhancement of the upper level flow and a few disturbances rippling through that will help to bring a few showers here in a few spots over the next couple of days. But you'll see that low moves out as we get into Thursday, moves away, and then we're left with really just kind of inactive setup there as far as the upper level winds in our area. We're kind of in between, two areas of some heavier winds at the upper levels, and so generally will be fairly benign and dry as we get into sort of that Thursday, Friday timeframe. Futurecast for today, picking up on those little showers that are approaching the state right now. So again, we could see a few showers in the northern part of the state, maybe even a downpour or two, maybe some rumbles of thunder in the northeastern part of the state this afternoon. So don't be surprised if you see that. But again, as you look across the map there, most of the state will be completely dry and bathed in sun for the day today. And as we get into later on tonight and into tomorrow morning, again, just a few scattered showers possible as we get into tomorrow afternoon in spots, especially kind of the central Alabama, northern Alabama area. And there's a couple of specks trying to show up even in South Alabama, but generally the southern part of the state is where we're expected to stay the most completely dry as we move through this week. But again, if you happen to get a shower or downpour, just be happy that you got something, because we're still not looking at widespread rain anytime soon. And looking at our percent of normal rainfall over the last 30 days, so this is the last month, you can see lots of orange here showing low percentages of normal. So if you were to add 100%, of course, that's where you're at normal. You see there's a few spots that have gotten some of these downpours in the last week or two, and near Chatham there and Florence yesterday morning. But most spots are down into the 50% or less sort of category as far as percent of normal. And so that's why all of a sudden in the last month or so we're heading into sort of drought conditions for sure. And you can see as far as the amount of deficit, we're in a lot of spots 1 to 2 inches below normal over the past 30 days for what you would typically see. Some spots even 2 to 4 inches below normal. And here's our rainfall outlook for the next week. Again, we're not expecting a lot of beneficial widespread rain, just places that could get maybe 1/10 of an inch. And of course, some spots will get a little bit more if you get under a downpour, but generally no widespread rain forecast over the next week. Here's your 7-day forecast that you can be seen here for sure. We're expecting in just a small chance of a few isolated showers, maybe a storm over the next couple of days. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. Still have those lows down in the 60s with those comfortable mornings. And then as we get into early next week, we do see a little bit of a pattern change. We expect to see a little bit more chance of rain, and so we will hope we can get as much as we can out of that as we get into early next week. And for South Alabama, again, very small rain chances, even smaller than the northern part of the state for this week. And then as we get into next week, again, not seeing as big of a change there, because a lot of that pattern change will be in the northern part of the state with a front approaching and an upper level trough. But again, we'll hope to see a little bit of an increase in moisture in that area as well as we get into the latter part of next week. Well, that is your Alabama forecast for now. We'll have another one coming up later on this afternoon on the Alabama Weather Network.